talking, hey, what's on your mind? She's on the inside, she got the scoop on the ones to watch, on the ones that's hot. No one can do it quite like Caroline.
Hey y'all, it's Caroline Hobby and welcome to my show Get Real from the Music City, capital of the world. In each episode, I get the real story from the most inspiring, interesting people in Nashville, Tennessee. I have done everything in the music entertainment industry. I was in the trio Stealing Angels with 2 top 50 country charting songs, a finalist and runner-up on season 22 and season 24 of The Amazing Race. You can currently catch me on CMT's hit show, I Love Kelly Pickler. I am an entertainment news correspondent and host for the TV show Nashville Insider, and my podcast, Get Real with Caroline Hobby, was featured on iTunes' New and Noteworthy and charted on iTunes' Top 200 podcast. I'm also married to the smoking hot front man, Michael Hobby, of the #1 chart-topping band, 1,000 Horses. So buckle up and get ready to get real with me, Caroline Hobby. Welcome to my show. Travis Carter and the Hizzy. What up, dog?
What up?
How's it going? Look at us in your swanky office. Do you get a swanky office like this when you become a bigwig on Music Row?
If I have one, no, that's not the case at all.
Talk to me about publishing. How did you get into it? Because you have had quite a journey with publishing. How long have you been a song plugger? And tell us what a song plugger is.
A song plugger, I feel like the definition of it changes by the day.
Okay.
My first song plugging gig was in 2010, 2011.
Did you get into it right after college?
No, my journey to here is completely different than probably a lot or most.
Okay, well, tell us before you get into it. Give us the Cliff Notes version.
Cliff Notes version. Moved to Nashville 2004.
How old are you?
Oh man, that gives me away. 22, 23.
Okay.
So I got in a different way later, and through a much different path. Moved to town.
But what was the path? Is it secret?
No.
Okay,
moved to
what
town
was
2004. Knew I wanted to do A&R, but
Okay.
I was that kid.
An A&R is someone who works at record labels who listens to songs and gets them cut by artists. Hopefully they become singles.
Yes, historically that's the definition
Song
of
plugging
A&R.
sort of like A&Ring too.
It has become even more so over the years.
We need you to explain all that too.
Okay, so moved to town 2004. Was a drummer.
What? I think
Played
I knew that.
on the road with a handful of developing acts. Did that whole thing.
Do you have long hair?
No.
Do you have any secret tattoos?
No. But moved to town. Knew I wanted to play drums. Knew I was a decent drummer. Got here, realized there's a lot better drummers than me here. But when I was a kid, I always, I would read liner notes and always loved the A&R aspect of it. Had no idea how you get into A&R.
Right. Because it's kind of a foreign. How do you get into A&R? Honestly.
That's the whole thing there. I mean, someone told me when I first moved to town, it was that's not in the classifieds.
Yeah.
You don't just go apply for an A&R gig. Mm-mm. It's kind of one of those things you kind of have to be in town for a long period of time, prove yourself, wave a flag around projects, whether you're on them or not, and just,
It's not one of those jobs that you really apply for. I feel like you kind of have to have a reputation already, like you're saying. You have to be known about town before
years and years. But yeah, played drums, kind of networked my way in through that. That was up until 2010. And then A&R, there's still a lot of the A&R that's done on the label side, but the publishing side has started doing more and more over the years of that ground floor discovery, development.
Tell me why that publishing is.
I don't know. I don't know if I could pinpoint exactly why. It's just kind of shifted that way where I don't want to say we're totally more boots on the ground kind of finding stuff, but it's kind of just gone that way where I don't know. I just feel like publishers are out there.
I guess
in
it helps
Nashville
narrow
more.
it down.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You want to have it as narrowed down as possible.
Yeah.
So if publishers are giving only songs that could be singles or hits to A&R people at record labels, it just only helps the publisher's chance of getting their writers' songs cuts too, right?
Absolutely. So, and especially now being part of that artist discovery and development, there's so much of the artist now that's the writer, the artist,
Yes.
so that secures your spot in that. And there's camps in Nashville, and you want to have, rather than trying to get in all these other camps, kind of hopefully start your own.
And by camps, it's like your crew.
Yeah.
Like your crew, like your writing crew. Do crews stick together? So that'd be like songwriters stick together, like with produce, and they kind of stick with their producer. And
I feel like for the most part, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like for sure. Because around each project, you feel like, it's pretty consistent that the writers that are in it that having, success around that project. So hopefully we're building some of those, and, starting from the bottom up, whether it be a Cale Dodds or a Devin Dawson or, some of these that hopefully are, going to be big stars of tomorrow that,
Do you like to find budding artists? Like, is that kind of what
that's
you enjoy?
always what I wanted to do.
It is?
It's always what I wanted to do.
You don't want to just hop on and start working with superstars. You like to find and act and grow with them?
Yeah. Since I was a kid, that was always my thing.
Really?
Was just finding stuff that maybe no one had ever heard of that I loved, and like going and trying to, to preach it and say, you guys should hear this,
So you're in the perfect job for yourself.
It is. I've totally lucked out, and I'm waiting for them to escort me out any day. Tell
me your artist that you work with directly.
Directly work with Cale Dodds that I just mentioned, who's an old buddy of ours.
And he's fresh on Warner Brother. He's single out.
He's out on radio tour now.
Radio tour. And radio tour is where artists go around to every radio station pretty much across the country promoting themselves and songs.
Seems like the most tiring thing in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a journey.
He is completely wired for that.
Oh, he's like the best, and he's hysterical. He needs to be a politician.
This is right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Cale Dodds, Devin Dawson, who just released his record.
Dang, he's had a big year.
He's having a great year.
That album that came out has been getting rave reviews.
Yeah, he's a great guy to work with.
What's his vibe like? I met him a few times. He just seems so cool.
The most genuine dude you will ever meet.
Really?
The most genuine. Yeah.
So what does the most genuine actually mean?
He cares about his craft. He cares about everything. He's very educated in the entire business. He can sit there and talk, publishing details. He knows the whole spectrum. The dude is smart. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it goes beyond just the artistry of what he's doing, and same with Cale. So, I'm very fortunate to work with guys that are passionate about every aspect of their career. Yeah. It's not just the songs. It's obviously the songs are very important, but
it's the whole package.
Yeah. So, and they're passionate about their music. They're passionate about the people around them. They're passionate about their team. They're, all of it's such a team effort. So, yeah. And and Devin and many others are very appreciative of that. And yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, he's great. So
Cale, Devin,
Michael Hobby from 1,000 Horses.
That guy's so smoking hot.
Yeah.
I've been trying to
totally
hook up with him for a long time.
Yeah.
Can you introduce me?
Those guys, which are about to have a big year, they're obviously, did you hear they're doing the Kid Rock tour?
Hell yeah! Kid Rock, what?
1,000 Horses.
That has been a fun, rowdy tour. It's perfect for them.
That was awesome the other night.
Yeah, at Bridgestone.
Brothers Osborne, who we have with Kelly King.
Heck yeah.
And Kelly's awesome. Those dudes are awesome.
Kelly King. Oh, Kelly King. She works with them also at work. Okay, love them.
Those guys
got some great acts.
They're done with a new record that's going to be great.
Hey. Here, come say hi. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
She talked me into this.
We're doing a podcast.
I love your podcast.
You love it?
You're going to do the podcast?
Oh, okay, here. Come sit down. Here, we're going to, for just 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Come join us. Okay. Travis, why don't you ask it. No, okay, so this is going to be great. This is so good. Okay. So tell me everything we need to know about publishing and what makes a company successful from the man himself.
First, let me say, wow. I walked into a podcast. What makes a publishing company successful ultimately is people like Travis Carter.
What do you look for?
No, I'm serious.
In publishers and pluggers. Because you run this is a big operation to be running.
Good people, great ears, work really hard.
What are great ears to you? Like what does that mean? Because that is such a magical question. Like what does great ears mean?
You see it consistent excellence over time, and that's how you know when someone has great ears. And I see that in Travis. So you picked a great interview subject.
Oh, I know.
I'm peacing out now, and you guys
are. Okay, well, tell me one thing really fast. Okay, so you've been working in publishing for a long time. What are you most excited about in the music industry right now with what's happening?
Good questions.
I love the fact that in Nashville and in country music, we get to all be so diverse. That's my favorite thing. We can be a part of some of the most traditional country moments, and also some of the more pop moments, some of the more southern rock moments. Just all the great things about music, like, and every day's different. So that's what I love.
Last question: what are you most excited about this year? What are you excited about happening right now in your life?
This podcast, obviously.
Oh, peace out. Okay, well, that was such a treat. Thank you for joining us, Ben Vaughn. We appreciate all of your wisdom.
VIP show up.
VIP cameo in the hizzy. What? Well, that was a fun drop by.
I love it.
Love it.
Edit this out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting parched.
So, Ben Vaughn, just, is he the president of all of Warner?
Of Warner Chappell.
Of Warner Chappell. So, Warner Chappell is the publishing company that is attached to Warner record labels, which is the record label. So, they're two different things for everyone listening.
Yep.
So, they're not the same. There's a whole world of writers.
It's all part of the same umbrella, but two different sides.
It's a big old world in the Warner world.
It's a big world, yeah. But I will say that, started working here 4 years ago. All of it was very intimidating, daunting, big corporate thing.
Because you're with the big wigs over here.
Well, it's a big company, yeah. But within the company here, from day one, it does not feel like some big corporate thing. It's, Ben runs the company, and we're all very tight-knit, family-oriented. It does not have that big corporate feel. So,
what makes a good working environment with like teammates? So you're like, obviously Ben is he runs the Warner Chappell in Nashville, but like what makes a good working environment for you? Because I feel like not all working environments are so positive.
That's very true. No, I mean, it's always been, our team has changed a few times over the years, but everyone here is tight knit. I mean, we hang outside of work, obviously here all day. You spend a lot of time with your team members around here. And everyone's always gotten along great. And
do y'all build each other up? Is it competitive, or is it like healthy competitive, or what is
everything here, like even when I list stuff on my roster, if Alicia lists something on her roster, BJ, Ryan, whoever, everything, it's such a team effort across the board. I mean, we rely on each other every day, so even everything I list, I pretty much, it's all ours, it's just.
I love that.
Yeah. But it's always been that way here, which I've always loved. Yeah.
So you said you like signing acts who haven't made it yet and then watching them grow into their artistry and success. What do you look for when you decide you want to sign a writer? Like a writer and a writer artist? Because there's two differences. And break down the difference between just a songwriter and a writer artist, and tell me what you look for.
Man, that's a good question. A writer, I mean, with both, a writer, obviously it's just something that, at the end of the day, all of this, for the most part, is subjective. It's, what I love is going to be very different than even within the office, what BJ loves, or what Ryan, whoever. It's going to be very different for they love. But that's also going to be said for the listeners too, or who you're trying to sell this product to. So over the years, I've tried to navigate more so like just what I'm passionate about, but I could also see a marketability in it.
So what are you most passionate about? What are your particular taste buds oriented towards?
Man, I mean,
like, what do you gravitate towards? Like, what makes you stop in your tracks when you're out? Like, if you're going around listening to music in Nashville, what is it going to make you stop in your tracks?
I mean, you probably hear this, from other interviews too, where it's just something different. It's so hard to do something that really sticks out.
It is, isn't it?
And you just hear it and you're like, I haven't heard that before. It's really hard to do. That's why I have the utmost respect for, artists or writers that come up with these new way of saying, the thing that's been said 100 times before, but that they're saying it in a new way, and it's it's interesting, and same with an artist, whether it's a vocal ability or the way if they're a writer, the way they write,
something that feels different.
There's so many great things in Nashville, great artists, great writers. It's really hard to stick out.
What's your advice to an artist and a songwriter on how to stick out? What would you suggest them doing? Like if someone's coming to you and it's like, man, I'm moving to town. I really think I'm great, but I don't have anything to show for myself. What should I do?
Man, I always say networking. I mean,
I agree. Networking is everything.
Visibility in this town is priceless. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a writer, an artist, or a producer, whatever you may be. It's just because, when I in the business. There were times I didn't have a job, but it was just staying present.
Yeah, just
And
like showing up at stuff.
I think the same goes for a writer, whoever it is. Because I'll see, notice people at shows or whatever. I'm like, I don't know who that person is, but I keep seeing them over and over and over and over.
Totally.
It's like familiarity with, so I would say networking. I mean, just get out there, meet people. It's so easy to meet people in this town.
People are really friendly,
They're
too.
really friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, it's a community. Everybody wants to help everybody. Whether it's between rival companies or whatever, it's like everybody's friends. Everybody just wants the best product to come out of this town. So,
do you have a moment in your career where it could a game changer moment in your career that changed everything for you?
I mean, probably my first break into the industry.
How did you get your first break from being a drummer?
Yeah,
How did you get that? How did that
story.
transfer?
Or
how did someone take a gamble on you to be like, okay, you're a drummer, but I'm going to hire you as a publisher?
I was a drummer, and I was playing with Matt Jenkins.
Oh my gosh,
I had lunch with him today, and we were talking
He's now written tons of hit songs like Cop
Yeah.
Car and what like 5 number ones he's written.
He's got a bunch, yeah.
Isn't that funny though? How you start with someone at such a young age
Yeah.
when no one has anything going on, and then flash forward 10 years and everyone's.
But for me, that goes for every aspect of the industry. But I mean that came from just networking, just being out. Me and Matt became buddies. He was looking for a drummer, and I started playing for him, and we've just remained friends over the years. And there's been low lows and high highs, and we just stayed in touch, and now he's doing what he's doing and all that. But anyway, I was playing drums for him, but at the same time I was bartending at a restaurant in Green Hills.
Okay.
And a woman named Renee Bell.
Oh, just a little old no-namer.
Yeah, she was I knew she would come in every day, and I knew who she was, but I didn't know how to approach that. I'm like, she gets hit up all the time,
Because it was A&R at Sony.
Yeah, head of A&R at Sony. And she was,
top of the top.
Yeah, she was
running. She was queen.
Yeah,
Queen bee.
she was, and
Queen
she
R.
was, she was a little bit of an old school, intimidating A&R character.
Mm-hmm.
It was like,
and especially then, there weren't that many women in. I guess there were some women in A&R positions, but she was like a powerful woman.
Yeah.
Too.
So I basically we became friends from me being her bartender at this restaurant.
Hell yeah.
And over time, over a year or two, we just became friends, and I would set up quarterly meetings with her to go to her office just to stay in front of her, just stay present so she remembered who I was.
Nick, but I want to interject though. That is a very important trait to put yourself out there. Even though you are just a bartender and you don't it's probably a little intimidating. I think a
Very
crucial
intimidating.
thing is you need to, if you get an opportunity to be with someone important and they'll give you their time, you need to ask for it, don't you think?
That's also part of it. It's there's so many people in this town that want, my job or the next job, and there's a line down the street of, and I always try to stay mindful of that, is to be appreciative of where you're at and just to work hard to keep doing it. But even back then, it was I definitely had to get out of my comfort zone because it was intimidating. It was that was not in my personality type to set myself out there and try to be.
So you're asking the head of Sony A&R, Renee Bell, when you just have nothing
she'll
going
just
on
meet
for
with
yourself.
me. Yeah.
You're just bartending, if she'll meet with you.
Yeah.
When everyone in the world is wanting to meet with her. Heck yes, Travis. So what were your meetings like?
So I would basically just show up and tell her what I was doing, which wasn't much at the time. I'd tell her about my
awesome
shifts at the
martinis.
restaurant when she wasn't there. No.
The same regulars are coming in.
Yeah. So we had 2 or 3 meetings, and I would just try to get in there as much as I could. And she was nice enough to even take a meeting with me because it was,
Truly, yeah.
she didn't need to do that.
But
I went in there.
People give people chances in this town. If they see a spark, they'll give you a shot.
Yeah, she knew. I think she finally picked up that I was dead set on it. I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Which that's what I always notice in people here. When I'm like, if this person's that persistent and they're this passionate about it, then they deserve,
Yeah.
So I had a few meetings with her, and then noticed in her office there were just that box there, just boxes full of unsolicited material.
Like CDs.
CDs, just piled high. And asked her, finally got the courage one day to ask her, I was like, what are those, and can I take them with me? So she was like, I would love for you to take them, but do whatever you want with them.
So what were they? Just piles and piles of CDs that people drop off?
That people had dropped off at the label.
So did you start listening to her album?
Yeah, so I would take those home and go through the boxes in my own time and just there was stuff in there from every publisher in town with their information on there. So that's kind of how I got my education in publishing. Was I would go through there and log all these, because I didn't know, to be honest with you, I didn't know anything about publishing when I got into that, my job ended up getting a job with her.
With Renee?
Yeah.
You ended up getting a job with Renee?
It was like a part-time creative assistant thing. And
So
to
would
me,
you-
it was like,
Would you start listening
won
to
the
this?
lottery.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You're working for Renee Bell, and this is a dream. Would you write down the songs that you thought were hits and like bring it
Yeah,
back to
so
her?
I
Did
would-
any of those get cut?
I think a couple by some of her like baby acts, but
So she
but it was
actually
enough to give
noticed
her
your
it was
ear.
it was enough to give her a sense that
You
I
knew.
could hear a good song.
But look at you
but-
being a go-getter right there. Like
Man,
that's
it,
it.
like I said, it
That's-
was completely out of my comfort zone.
But you knew you had to do that.
Yeah.
You had to do
Yeah.
something to stand out.
Yeah. So I would take those, but more than anything, more than finding the hits or anything in there, it was just all information for me. I was like, this is a gold mine.
So what would you do with that
So-
information?
I just logged it all and like just kept track of it, and I was like, okay, so these are the
players.
these are the song people. These
Yeah.
these people hold the keys or whatever.
Holy
So
cow.
I learned, which is funny now because so many of those names that I was jotting down and all that, I was like, I'm friends with a lot of those people now. But it's
Isn't that surreal when you like
It is,
live
yeah.
into your dreams?
yeah. So I just kept doing that, and just threw those boxes of CDs from her, and then she eventually hired me.
How did that day come, and what did you do when she offered you a job? Did you
Like I
freak
said, it
out?
was like it was an hourly part-time position. I didn't have an office there. I was working from home, but like,
You had the title.
damn it, I got like
You're working with Renee
yeah.
Bell.
Well, more than anything, that was, I don't think she'd ever really hired anyone in that position, and she gave me a chance, and it was a short-lived thing.
But that name credibility, having her give her stamp of approval on you, that goes such a distance for you
Yeah.
in your career, especially in the beginning.
That was definitely a defining moment where I was able to like kind of get my toe in the door, and she, kind of let me run with it. So I just tried to network as much as I could and use that leverage and just go for as much as I could. But
So after
we did
that, what happened? How did you segue?
That's what kind of sent me out. Like it was probably, I was there for maybe a year. And then there was a regime change at Sony, and that's what kind of sent me off into publishing.
Okay.
So then worked for a couple like boutique small publishing companies from there, and then worked for Bob DiPiero.
Oh, awesome
which
hit
was,
songwriter.
Yeah.
He's
worked
had
for
like what? How many number ones? Like 50?
a lot.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's also married to Leslie Thomasina.
Yeah. Who you
Who's
just talked
also
with. Yeah.
just interviewed her
So
last week. On
It was
Publishing Series.
worked for Bob and Leslie, who were incredible. I mean, it was a great opportunity, and it was basically just trying to like just still use whatever I could to network and let people know what I was about musically and what I was passionate
And that was
about.
a great company because it's a smaller company, but it has such an incredible reputation and so many great writers. So that was
Yeah.
probably a great one to like start with.
Yeah, it was an awesome spot to be, and but yeah, was there for a little while, and then came here. Been here for 4 years, so it was. But all of it's just been. I mean, all of it's been an education. I mean,
What is your take on the music industry? It's a wild world out here, isn't it?
very, yeah.
Like all of the moving pieces for an artist and a song to actually get a life and have a huge career. It's almost a miracle, right?
It really is.
Tell
yeah,
me
it
all the
absolutely
things
is.
that have to go right for a song to become a hit.
Oh my gosh, that's a long list. Man, I mean,
From the start of a creation, just start at the beginning. Like a song is being in the writing room with a song. Like what are the steps? Just so people can understand the
Yeah.
process of a song actually becoming a hit song.
I mean, that is kind of the coolest part is when you are able to witness that from
It's a miracle.
conception to success kind of thing. I mean, like I was saying earlier, so much of it now is writing with an artist in the room. It's not always that, but like to see the shift from say 2010 when I worked with Renee, if you look at the charts then, most of those were songs being pitched. And
that means songwriters were writing them, and then artists were cutting them and not writing them
yeah.
themselves.
And there is still a good amount of that for sure, and that's never going to go anywhere because that's Nashville, and what makes it great is the songwriter community and getting those songs heard. But it's a lot of what's come up is the artist writers.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is the artist in the room writing. So obviously they have to be on board with the song and love it. Mm-hmm. Then it has to go up to the label. Label has to love it, and then the radio promo. I mean, it's so much of it is, I don't want to say a crapshoot, but a lot of things have to
Promo
go
has
right.
to be on fire for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Has to be the right timing at country radio.
Yeah.
Like, is that what they're looking for? Did something, is like the climate correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you take all the, Spotify streaming platforms into it that there are things blowing up on that you might not hear on terrestrial. So it's all over the place.
Spotify is becoming a major game changer with breaking artists, aren't they?
Absolutely.
So tell me about that, because that's a new thing they've just started doing. Is that helping with the publishing world?
Yeah, I mean, Spotify really has become is an A&R tool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff, you can follow all the numbers on there, and it's going to be a lot of stuff that you're not hearing on terrestrial.
And they're breaking new acts. They're like
breaking new, yeah.
What are some of their playlists? Like new boots.
New Boots, Hot Country. I think it's Wild Country.
So if you can get on one of those lists when you're trying to break as an artist, that's a huge boost.
And you'll see artists bubble up on there that that maybe we're not hearing about right here on the road, but you see them pop up on there, and obviously you take notice of that.
So another thing that I think is cool with publishing is you are kind of an artist yourself, because you craft together co-writes.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think is so interesting. One more layer to this music industry where we create these little miracles that are songs, because you have all these writers and songwriters in town. You know your artists after you've been working with them for a long time. You know how they write. Are they more of a lyric person? Are they melody?
Yeah.
What kind? Are they R&B? Are they traditional country? There's so many styles. So you actually put people in rooms together.
Yeah.
And you did that with Michael, with Smoke.
Yeah.
And that's how their first #1 Smoke was written, because you placed these songwriters in a room together. It was Michael, John Knight, and
Ross Copperman.
Copperman. But that's an artistic thing in itself. It's putting the right people in the room. And I don't think people realize that.
I don't know if I call myself an artist with it, but
kind of.
It's definitely being educated and aware of all the
People's
songwriters
talents.
up and down Music Row, and knowing the ins and outs of what that writer brings to the table.
Getting the right writers in the right room together.
Yeah, and it's so much of it's a gut thing too, where you're almost playing, as much as you're playing the strong suit of that artist or writer in the room. It's personalities.
Mm-hmm.
It's like and just the longer in it, you get to know all these guys, and you can kind of what they do, but there's a lot of times where I'm like, I just feel like these guys would vibe.
And you don't know why. But
Yeah,
you
you're like. So it's a lot of playing personalities too, but I mean, obviously you want to have, the melody guy, the lyric guy, the producer in the room, whatever it may be. But I love that aspect of it. But I feel like the longer you're in it, it just kind of becomes a second nature thing, because, but every day, I mean, there might be someone pops up that you don't know exactly what they do, but I love that. You get to learn about all these new writers, and
yeah,
it's cool. It's really fun.
I find the whole thing so fascinating, because it's just like you were saying, it's a gut instinct. And I loved what you said earlier. I wanted to touch back on this when you were talking about with Matt Jenkins, how he you were his drummer and y'all went through a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Is that not what the music industry is, though?
No, it absolutely is.
It's just highs and lows,
Yeah.
and eventually you just learn how to ride it.
Whether you're in it or not in it yet, I mean, it's like there's highs and lows on both sides.
It's never just this perfect.
No.
Do you think people think it could be?
I could see it definitely looking like that from the outside, but
like, your life is so fun.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. You just go to parties.
so
and
glamorous, and yeah.
Tell me what the anxiety feels like, because we know what the great side feels like. The great side is like, oh my gosh, you win a Grammy. One of your songwriters wrote a song and wins a Grammy. That's an amazing moment. Now,
we always talk about it here.
What's the crash side?
I don't know if
Or
I
the
call it a
anxiety
crash.
side.
The anxiety side is, and this goes for probably everybody in the industry, where it's you win an award or a song goes #1. You get wired in this business where you celebrate that, but you have to cut it off pretty soon, because you have to be looking at the next one.
Is it almost kind of scary when you have a big success?
Because when that thing, when you get a success, your work is done. Like it's, I shouldn't say it's done. But you have to be on to the next one, whether it's for that writer or artist or another one you have. It's like you have to keep moving forward, because if you just sit and focus on past successes, it's like you'll get lost like that. I mean,
how long do you let yourself celebrate?
Probably too long, but no. It's a pretty short moment, because you definitely want to like
enjoy the moment, but then you got to get ready for the next one.
Also, try to take yourself out of it, and you stand back from the situation and realize where you were 10 years ago when you dreamed about this. So I definitely try to step back and appreciate all of it, and think about the work that's gone into it. And when I was waiting tables, but I'm like, I never want to do that again, so I got to get on the next one. But no, it's pretty. I don't want to say it's short-lived because I appreciate it so much, but you definitely have to keep pushing.
Yeah.
So.
So what would you tell now that you've lived through all this and like hearing your beginning story, like being a waiter with Renee and then asking for a meeting? I mean, that is balls right there. I appreciate that about you. What would you tell your younger self, and what would be some advice you would tell someone coming in trying, like, not just to write songs, but just how to navigate this industry? What would you suggest people do to have success? Man,
my thing always is, whether it's going into the side of the business that I've ended up in or a writer or anybody, is just truly stick to your guns. Like what on the creative side, on the everything, just trust in your talents, trust in who you are and where you want to be. Because it sounds cheesy, but there's so much of this that 10 years ago I visualized, like,
Do you believe in visualization?
I do. I feel like I do. Like I do now, because I mean there's so many things where I'm like, this is how you visualize where you want to be. Like, what's the the ultimate, and there is a lot of that, and it's just really sticking to your guns, because maybe the climate of the format at the time right now for what you want to do isn't what you think suits what you want to do. Mm-hmm. But it's really just sticking to your guns, because this town it moves so much.
It does.
The best is to win, knowing that you stayed true to who you are and what you wanted, kind of thing. So, but also being adaptable within it. I mean, it's
right. You can't be too rigid.
Yeah.
I asked Tom Luter in this in my publisher series, and I just think it's a really good question. We're kind of talking about it. Talk to me about the ego, like with an artist and with someone trying to climb the ladder on
Tom
the other
would know
side.
all about that.
How important is the ego, like for a new artist or a songwriter, and for just anyone who's wanting to have success in the industry? It's a fine line, because an ego it's necessary, but it can be destructive too. You have to have that fine line. What are your thoughts on the ego playing a part in this industry? For
me, and I think so many other people around here, there's, like you said, there's such a fine line between ego and confidence. Mm-hmm. And around here, there are, things you can hang your hat on, but, like you could say, got an ego because he got a record deal. Right. It's like, that's where the work begins.
Right.
It's like,
people think you get a record deal, you've made it. Oh no, you're just starting.
Literally, you just worked to that point, and that's where the work starts.
Yes.
So, I never want to see an artist with an ego when they get a record deal, or so it's definitely, I mean, staying humble around here is so key. I mean, it's
you can lose it so fast. Everything can blow up and be explosive awesome, and then blow up and be explosive bad in one second to the next. I think,
very different than New York or LA, the community of Nashville. It's everybody, everybody you saw on the way up, you're going to see on the way down.
Absolutely.
So it's like, treat everybody with respect. Like I said, everybody's here to help everybody, to support all that, and just think staying humble but confident is the only way to do it.
That is such a good point. Humble but confident, because the ride is going to be up and down.
Oh yeah, without fail. Without fail.
Yeah. And if you can't keep your confidence you have to keep your confidence throughout the whole way, and know that your time will come when it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But you have to believe in yourself always.
Absolutely.
I know. We're all crazy for being in this industry, aren't we? It's so amazing, but it's like, oh my gosh, half the time I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Because there's no rules.
It's addictive. Totally.
It is addictive.
And I wouldn't want to be doing anything else, but.
Okay, so if you could see your life perfectly in the next 3 years, career-wise, what would your life be looking like?
Oh, man.
What would have happened to make you just so happy? You're like living your best life.
3 years from now.
You're living your best life.
I mean, all these guys that I'm fortunate enough to work with at different levels, some of these, say, baby acts, but, whether it's the Kale, the Devin, Morgan Evans, haven't seen those guys, with number ones under their belt, or household names, successful, on the radio. Just that is, I mean, pretty much what we work for every day.
Yeah.
Or just, I think, is that a good answer?
That's it's a great answer. All your acts having success.
I feel like, I'd kind of live and die by that, but I feel like you have to in this business. 1,000 horses.
Heck yeah.
Blowing up even more. Like, I mean, it's just stuff like that just see all these guys girls like, continued success. But
what makes you freak out in a song? When you hear a song, like, what are you looking to feel? Is it melody? Is it lyrics? Or is it the whole thing? Is it like when you hear a song, tell me a song that you've heard recently that made you freak out, and tell me why.
Freak out recently.
Yeah, like what really gets you with the music?
It's funny. Mine has shifted over the years. I used to be, and I still am, such a lyric guy.
Mm-hmm. I love lyrics.
Yeah, and I there's still nothing I love more than a great lyric. But somewhere over the years, I've become such a melody-driven person.
Mm-hmm.
I just hear that, and I listen to a lot of pop radio and stuff, and you see elements of that coming into country more and more.
Totally.
And I feel like, the generations coming up, I feel like they go to melody more than they do lyric.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you have that melody,
especially with
I
track
could be totally wrong.
guys
That's just my gut. Like my gut now. I listen to melody of it, and it's like
you have to feel the melody.
That's what's infectious to me. But I still I don't know. I go back and forth that because
you really can't describe it. It's kind of a feeling. You just have to.
Absolutely.
So tell me what you think the point of life is.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you ask everybody that?
Yeah.
They have good answers?
Yeah.
Point of life? I mean,
you gotta have a point to it, right?
Yeah, that is definitely.
What do you think the point of us all being here doing all this stuff is? I like to get you all buttered up and then just come around the side, with a real deep question.
Oh man.
For you.
For me, I mean, just being content and happy is like, I mean, in a business like this, or and it's so much of the day is we're here doing this, head down, like, and being content is super important to me, and I'm still struggling to get that feeling because it's it's not a greedy thing, but you just want more and more, want more success and
yes,
more and more,
Well, you know what you're capable of, and you're like, well, okay, I achieved this.
Yeah.
Now I can see this in my sights.
It's that for me is.
You like to have goals and motivation, that you're passionate about.
Yeah, but being happy with where I'm at, but still driven to do more.
That's a great way of putting it. Like you're enjoying the whole journey.
Yeah.
Like you see where you want to be, but you're like, I'm not gonna not enjoy here.
Exactly.
Even though I want to be like 20 steps up eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if you get around in this town, you can get so focused and head down on having the biggest artists, the most number ones, the most everything, and you could wake up 20 years from now and look back and you weren't happy through.
And then you look at your life, then you're like, but dang, my life was cool. Why was
Yeah.
I not happy?
Yeah. You just get obsessed with it.
How do you keep yourself content? What are techniques you do to remind yourself to snap back into contentment?
I need to get more habits of doing that, like yoga or
Yoga's
something.
great.
Yeah.
Yoga. Everyone says
hear.
meditating's awesome. I've got to work meditating.
I hear that about that too. I need to do more conscious things to be content.
Oprah meditates all the time.
Oprah?
She has like 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night that she designates.
Well, something's working for her, so maybe I should try that.
Right?
Yeah. So.
Okay, I'm going to ask a few more deep
Heavy
questions.
ones?
I mean, just a little bit. We don't have to go super deep, but I just like to know your thoughts on this. Do you think everyone has a calling? Like you said, you always knew you wanted to like find music, and obviously you're seeking out Renee Bell and her and listening to songs back then. You knew you were inclined to that. Do you think everyone is inclined to something?
No, I
don't.
No, I think it's all about upbringing, really. Because for me and my brother, I mean, we both knew from very early age what we wanted to do, and kind of were focused at doing that. But we had parents that were, very, loving and guiding in that, kind of thing. But maybe deep down everybody does, but I do think it's all about upbringing, because I think I have friends or whoever that ended up in medical school, but really deep down they wanted to do something else, but they never did it.
Yeah, because
so maybe they do have a calling, but they just
don't follow it.
You got to be bold to chase the calling.
You do have to be bold. Do you feel like chasing your calling is an act of like faith and fearlessness? Because you have to be willing to crash and burn.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
scary. Do you think
it's
a lot
scary.
of people are scared of what it might feel like if it all falls apart?
Yeah, and rightfully so for the most part. You know, it's like.
Why did you decide not to be scared?
I feel like, so I moved to town 2004. Like I said, 14 years. Like looking back on it now, I of course thought I knew everything and had the town figured out within the first year. And it's like it really is it was like ignorance was bliss. It was like, you know, even when I look back to Job with Renee, thought I knew what a hit was. I didn't, and I still don't now. But you look back and you're like, it's such a learning thing. It really ignorance is bliss. I mean,
so it's kind of great to just start when you're too young and not know any better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I don't know if I'd be as fearless now starting at age 34 as I was when I was 19.
No, I was just stupid.
Being stupid pays off.
Just like knew what I wanted, but I was stupid and just chased it down. And, you know, you just hope for the best.
Yeah.
But it takes time around here. I mean, you know.
Everyone says it's a 10-year town. Do you believe that?
Absolutely.
In all areas? Let's break that down, what that means.
I don't think it's 10-year town for everybody because, I mean, you see people do it in way less.
Mm-hmm.
But that first job I got was almost 7 years to the day of me moving to town. So,
dang.
So that my thing with my job, my position where I'm at now is helping anybody I can to expedite that process, you know, because if you can do it quicker, by God, I'd love to help you. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, we're going to wrap up Travis Carter with all of his lovely wisdom on live publishing, everything in between. This has all been very inspiring, but I like to end all of my interviews with leave your light. So it's all been inspiration, but leave inspiration, maybe like what you would have told your younger self, what you would tell someone, your message that you want to put out there. Like how maybe direct it towards songwriters and artists, especially since you work so closely with that. Like just leave some inspiration that you want to share.
Man.
You got just first thing that comes to mind. Don't overthink it.
I mean, I feel like I covered it a little bit earlier, but sticking to your guns. I mean, with that, that's so tough.
Just your first gut instinct. Just how you would hope to inspire the world. Like, what have you picked up along the way that has been really crucial to you that you would like to share with other people?
It is persistence. I mean,
totally.
There's like so many people going for everything around here, and more so every day. As you know, Nashville's just blowing up, and there are so many people coming to town, and more coming in the industry, and all that. It's just if you really feel like you were born to do this, it takes more than a couple years to prove that.
And sometimes it takes more than talent too, because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the work ethic and the drive and persistence.
Yeah.
Have you seen that happen to great talent that just?
Yeah, I mean, I had so many friends over the years that were, trying to get in the industry like myself, and they come and go, and they give up and go back home, and
they just don't want to fight for it.
Yeah, but in that sense, Nashville's great at weeding out, the ones who really want it and the ones who don't, kind of thing. So
that is so true.
Yeah, so I guess if you stick around here long enough, they let you in.
Totally.
Yeah, but
Rod Essig told me that. He's the head of CAA for all you guys listening. He said that if you have talent and you work hard and you stick around long enough, you will have success at some point.
Yeah.
In some way. But you have to have talent and persistence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think also, like you said, networking and a good attitude too.
Networking is so much of it around here.
It is.
Yeah. So.
Travis Carter.
Thank you for this. This is awesome.
You're my last publisher on my publisher series.
Oh, I'm honored.
You're ending the series on a high note.
So
Travis
honored.
Carter. Hey, you're the best. Peace.
Thank you.